Welcome into the LMU men's basketball report for February 6th. Scott Erlin in again with head coach Josh Schertz to catch you up on the men's basketball program. Coach, a solid week that we get to talk about last week for the Rail Splitters. Y'all were going through some stuff, a little bit of adversity still with some, dealing with some injuries and stuff like that. But you go over to Brevard and get a 32-point win. And then obviously the biggest game of the week was on Saturday here at Tex Turner Arena when you come in and outlast Wingate for probably lack of a better term, and get a 10-point win here at Tex Turner Arena. So talk about last week.
Well, obviously, it was like all weeks in the league. It's incredibly competitive, and you're trying to kind of stay on the same routine. Prepare as well as you can. Go out and empty the tanks each and every game, and then come back and build through preparation again. So and every game is in this league is unique because so many different styles of play. So you go in and play Brevard, and you got the Princeton offense and matchup zone and some things you got to do there. And I thought our preparation was pretty good. I didn't think we played particularly hard in the first half. I thought even though we were up 22 at the break, I believe, maybe 23, something like that. But I thought we made shots, but we didn't play very hard. We certainly we shot well, didn't play well. Second half, I thought it was the opposite. Even though it was much closer in the second half, I thought we competed much better, played with much more intensity. Thought we guarded better. Thought we were more focused, and our attention to detail was better. And so I was pleased with the second half there. With Brevard, they're obviously, like I said, we talked about before. Unbelievable respect for Lee. I couldn't do what he does. He goes in, and it's never a fair fight. And he's unbelievably professional. Does a great job with his kids, and you can tell they're still playing and competing. So I thought we again I thought second half kind of played better overall basketball. With the Wingate game, they came in and won 11 straight. Brian's got them playing, as he always does, their best basketball here as they get to end of January, into February, into March. It's like clockwork with Wingate. It's one of the hallmarks of a terrific coach, and Brian is certainly that. And they got a great program. So it was a big win. I thought looking back at it, we did enough things. Obviously, Luquan was otherworldly. I think that covered a lot of maybe areas we weren't very good in. We made too many mistakes, and it took Lou being otherworldly, for us to win. I'd rather win on the back of solid play and of great defense and of great attention to detail and those things. And we just right now, I thought in that game, Lou was tremendous. And Scoot was great in the first half, but we have a lot of things to clean up and to improve upon if we're gonna become a really good team. We're a good team right now, but we have a long way to go to be at our best, and a big part of that is making less mistakes. And I thought when you look at the Wingate game, we had control of it, up 9 with about 6.5 minutes to go, and just a couple of real careless mental errors, and it's an 11-0 run in 2 minutes, and you're down. And had Lou not stepped up and kind of did what he did and doesn't score 31 and a half, we lose that game. So sometimes there's a tendency when you win to overlook the details, and we certainly again have a long way to go. But learning from a win is way better than learning from a loss at this time of year and all year. You're trying to win games and improve. So we have a lot to improve upon. Obviously excited that we won both games. Puts us in position here as we get ready for another difficult week to kind of refocus, recenter, and everything that we hope to play for is still within tangible grasp.
When you had already kind of mentioned it, with Dorian out, you knew that you were going to need a huge performance against a team like Wingate to get to beat the Bulldogs. And Luquan comes in, scores 36, scores 31 in the second half alone, which would have been a season high by itself then. I just want you to talk a little bit more about his performance and really what he's done all season. All of a sudden you look now and he's up to 5th all-time career points here, so he's almost at 1,800 for his career, closing in on 2,000. So just talk about that game and choice as a whole this whole season.
Yeah, I mean you could you could do a whole hour on him. I'm always amazed by him because of he doesn't probably get the credit he deserves. He's never been Player of the Year in the league or anything like that. I think there's a tendency, not just for coaches but all people, to look at numbers and to figure out what somebody's numbers were. And you look at Lou, and his numbers are always good, but what he does on both ends of the floor is just remarkable. He takes on the other team's best player. He plays, basically 40 minutes a game. He handles a huge load for us on the offensive end, and you just kind of his strength, his stamina, his competitiveness, his pride are just remarkable. I think when you look at Lou, I think he'll go down as the best two-way player, I would say, in the history of this program. And of all the stats, I think he's number one all time in minutes played, and he's moving up to number one in games played, and number one in threes, and all these different things. Top 5 in scoring. The coolest thing about Lou, I think, is how competitive he is, and how much he does to impact winning, how much he cares about results. And the biggest thing to me since he's been here, 110 wins, 13 losses. That's his record as a college basketball player, and he's impacted us since he was a freshman. He's had an impact. So 110 wins, 13 losses is remarkable, and again, he wasn't a bystander. He's been a major piece from day one here. So really, really, again, just a remarkable career. Hopefully the last few chapters will be his best, but he's whatever happens, he's left an indelible mark on Lincoln Memorial basketball without question.
When you've been battling injuries for most of the year, but you get a guy, Dorian doesn't play like we mentioned multiple times, but you get a guy back in Emmanuel Terry who had missed 9 straight games and really made a tremendous impact on that game, scores 13 points and gets 9 rebounds in just 19 minutes. So what did you see from him in his first game back?
Yeah, I mean, we don't win that game without Emmanuel. I don't think Paul had been playing really well, and he fouls out, in 20 minutes, I think, and Chris was at a little less than his best, even though he had a double-double. He certainly wasn't one of his better performances, and Emmanuel comes in. We had no idea that he was going to even be able to play. We thought he was out another week or two, and Thursday, Donnie came back and said doctors said, let's try a non-contact, and we did, and Friday, they put him through, in and out kind of contact, and we talked about going into Saturday, play him and see how it feels, and he gives us 19 minutes, like you said, 13 points, 9 rebounds, blocks a few shots, alters some others, and there's no question that we're a better team and a much better team when Emmanuel's out there and Dorian's out there, when we're fully healthy, that we have those guys that can play, but. As we talked about, you got to find ways, whatever the situation, whatever hand you're dealt, you got to play the hand you're dealt and find ways to be successful. And we've had plenty of good players, but there's no question that Emmanuel, without him, if he doesn't play against Wingate, I don't think we can win the game given the circumstances of the foul trouble we were playing through and how well Wingate was playing. Emmanuel did a really nice job for us in a lot of capacities there. Particularly, the 13 and 9 were great, and he was flying around rebounding, but just defensively, there was a stretch there where they were, we were struggling to guard him, and we took Emmanuel, put him in at the 5, and played small around him, and I thought he did a great job on McCall and Griffin there over a couple-minute stretch, and obviously got some big-time rebounds and got his hands on some balls, tipped some balls in, did typical Emmanuel Terry things. So it's good to have him back, and hopefully, knock on wood, we get Dorian back in the foreseeable future, and before too long, we're back at full strength and here for the stretch run.
Well, now you go into this week with an 8-game winning streak, a home game here on Wednesday night against Tusculum, a team who's heated up a little bit of late, won 2 straight games, 3 of their last 4, come into the week following a home win over Lenore Ryan. So just less than a month ago, you went over to Greenville and beat them by 22 points, 22 points, but still, you got to feel pretty good about going into this game with how everything's gone of late, starting to get back healthy. Talk about the game against Tusculum.
Well, Tusculum, like you said, has won 3 out of 4, 2 straight. Mike's team last year made a big time run to make the conference tournament, and they're really in a similar situation. I think there's a jumble of teams right there that are 7-9, 8-8. That are competing, that are somewhere between 6 and 9 in the league, and they're right in the mix of that. So I think Tusculum is a team that's capable of beating anybody. They have a tremendous amount of firepower. Whether it's a guy like Kendall Patterson, Corey Fagan, they got an anchor in the post, and Chase Mounts. They've got a shooting all around those guys. Baylark. I mean, it just goes on and on. They offensive rebound the ball well, and Mike. They play with a free mind. They let it fly from the 3-point line. It's not Newberry, but it's very similar in that they play with a lot of confidence. They shoot the ball. They're going to come into the game on Wednesday and they'll be letting it go. The first time I thought we were pretty fortunate. They had a poor shooting night, and we were able to get our nose out in front early. And I think we won by 22. We were up 22 at the half, and it just kind of was on even terms in the second half. And we had trouble guarding them. Remember Kendall Patterson got the line, I think 16, 18 times, something like that. But they had a bad night from 3, which helped us. But over the years, they've given us a tremendous amount of trouble, and they're a difficult team because again, the way they play, they're so dangerous. Much like Newberry in the sense that they can rattle in 15, 20 threes. They're more than capable of doing that. The difference with them and Newberry is that they have an anchor inside that they can throw it to, and Mounts where he touches it in the post and good things happen. So we'll have to play very well. I think they're like us. They have a lot at stake for them. Everybody's at this stage of the season playing for various things, and when you look at Tusculum, they're playing to get in the conference tournament, and they need to win some games to do that. We're playing to try to stay in the mix for the league, and obviously try to get home games, NCAA tournament, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So both teams have a lot at stake. It's a big game. As the games get fewer, and then we're all guaranteed 6 more. They take on it more importance each and every game. So with 6 left, it's a long way to play, but each game now takes on more significance as the number of games you're guaranteed dwindles.
Well, and after the Tusculum game, the one thing you really pointed out is you wanted to see more competitiveness, more consistent competitiveness and execution from your team. Since you guys played on January 18th, how have you seen that come along for your group?
Okay, not where it needs to be. I mean, we have way too many mental breakdowns that there's a line you got to play to be successful. We always talk about that, and if you're below that line, and the line's different based on the team you're playing, and the better teams, the lines are higher. The teams that aren't as good, it's a little lower, but you have to be above the line. And you look at Wingate, like I said, you look at that game, and again, there's a tendency when sometimes when you have a tough loss and you play well, there's a tendency to say, we didn't play well, or you have a win, like a good win over Wingate, and we beat a really quality team. But Luke Wan and his performance masked a lot of things. We had 3 times that we didn't, on a free throw or dead ball, weren't matched up with anybody, and all 3 times we happened to leave Josh Dominguez open, which didn't pan out to be a very smart idea since he had 34 points. And in those 3 situations, he got 8 in of themselves. Hit 2 threes and got a layup where we just weren't matched up, and it wasn't off transition. It was off a dead ball or off a free throw where there's no excuse. Really never an excuse, but and so we have to clean up our mental errors. We had a guy go under a ball screen on Dominguez, with 6 minutes to go, and we don't do that ever, and you would never do that. The guy with the time has like 27 points, and he drills one. So we just had so many mental errors, and again, Lou and his performance kind of masked that. But that's the reality. We have to get better at competing for the full 40. We have to get better at attention to detail for the full 40, because as you try to advance, the line that you have to play to gets higher and higher, and the amount of mistakes you can make and still be successful, minimizes dramatically. And so that's where we are. We have to raise our level. as it relates to not only the competitiveness but the execution, and that's what wins. Competitiveness over 40 minutes, execution over 40 minutes, and the execution is both sides of the ball. And so we have a long way to go. I think we're far away from operating at our best, and I'm looking forward to, obviously you do that through your practices. We've got to have great preparation this week. We got to, certainly with Tusculum and then Newberry, you got two very challenging games, two, again, very different styles of play. And for us, it's about really going in, preparing great, and then going out and trying to play more competitively, more focused for the 40 minutes, because that's what it's going to take for us to get where we want to go to.
And I want you to talk real quickly about that Newberry game. An early tip, noon tip over there at Newberry on Saturday. Obviously, that was one of our losses this season back on December 17th. They hit, I believe it was 21 three-pointers, went 21 for 46 or 20 for 47 from the three-point line here at Texarkana Arena, and ended up coming away with a 107-102 victory. So obviously we know they're one of the most challenging teams to prepare for in the conference. But what is it going to take for you guys to get back at them this time around?
Well, I think Dave's teams are historically they kind of do what they do, and you go in and there's not a lot of secrets when you play them. You have to take care of the ball, which the first time I thought we did a terrific job of it. We turned it over 11 times. But you gotta obviously value the ball and be ball tough, because if not, you're triggering their offense and obviously compromising your defense. I think you got to do a good job on the defensive backboards. We were okay in that capacity. Where we were, absolutely horrendous was defending the three-point line. And to their credit, I mean, look, you still got to make. I mean, to make 23s in a game is remarkable, even if you're not being guarded. And for a lot of the game, they were shooting open ones. But that's hard to do regardless. So I think with Newberry, we're going to have to defend the three-point line. That's where everything starts. You got to take care of the ball. You've got to make sure that you're being smart when you're playing advantage basketball, and understand when it's not there, and then obviously be willing to go out and run offense. And then on the defensive end, there's really no secrets. You got to stay between your man and the basket. You got to have great shot challenges without fouling, and then you got to go and you got to have five guys fly into the defensive backboards, because they do as good a job as anybody in the league of they commit five to the offensive glass, and everybody's going, and if you're not hitting bodies and flying in there, so I mean you got to be play with tremendous grit and toughness, and you have to get in and gang rebound, and if you do that, then sometimes you can get transition opportunities going at them, because they do send five. But we're going to play much better than the first time. They it was a 5-point game, but they controlled the whole game here. It was the margin was much bigger than that. We wound up tying it with a minute and a half to go, but they led by 9 late, and they controlled the whole game from tip to buzzer. We're going to have to play much better than we did here, and certainly do a better job of taking away the things that they do to beat you, and we'll have to hopefully we've grown and are a little bit better at the details. But again, if they're just like Tusculum in the sense that I think they're two teams that absolutely let it fly from the three-point line. If you don't do a good job, you're not sound in how you guard that, you got a chance to have an 0-2 week very quickly.